So the Washington Capitals are no longer the team they used to be. The core is aging out here. Kuznetsov's 31, of course, Alexander Ovechkin's 38, and more than likely, Nick Backstrom's played his final NHL game. So with that being said, it's time to rebuild the Washington Capitals and get this team back to greatness, and we have 5 years to win them a Stanley Cup. And that's definitely not going to be easy. Ovi, he's 38 years old, and the other side challenge for this video, we got to win Ovi another Stanley Cup. As long as he doesn't retire on us, because I mean, he is 38 years old, there's a good chance that after this season, he decides to retire, but I don't think that's going to be happening. Looking at the defense, of course, we have John Carlson here. I wouldn't be surprised if we trade him next season. I mean, he's an 89 overall, 33 years old. He's going to be declining pretty quick here, but he is going to have some trade value. While the rest of the guys here, I'm not too sure how many of them we're going to be keeping around. And if this team wasn't old enough, 33-year-old Darcy Kemper is going to be in between the pipes for us. He still has a handful of years left on his contract. He has 4 more full seasons with the team. I don't think he's going to be around here for the entire rebuild as well. There's a lot of guys going to be changing teams here. The only guy that's not changing a team, Alexander Ovechkin. He's going to be here from start to finish, barring his retirement, of course. And when it comes to the salary cap situation, we also have a decent amount of money to work with. We have $8 million in cap space right now, but Max Pacioretty is going to be traded at the trade deadline. We'll trade him at 50% retained. We'll get a couple assets for him. With the rest of the team, however, I haven't decided what we're going to do here. The only thing I do know is Mantha's getting traded and TJ Oshie's also going to be getting traded. All I know is we're going to break this thing down, and we might be better off breaking it down now and then get a better draft pick. So we actually might be doing that instead. Before we get to trading those bad contracts away, I'm still trying to pass the Detroit Red Wings and YouTube subscribers, but I'm also trying to hit 55k subs by the end of the month. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and drop a like while you're at it. So we're going to be making this trade right here, and at face value, it literally makes no sense. TJ Oshie for Mike Hoffman. The only reason we're making this deal, Mike Hoffman only has 1 year left on his contract. We're going to trade him at the trade deadline, 50% retained, hopefully get a couple assets for him. But after this season, he's not returning. We just want to clear up cap space for next free agency. And also, that's going to be the only trade we do here, because I did try to trade Mantha, but the only player we can get for him is Eric Branson. And I'm not making that deal because he still has 3 years left on his contract, and that would be absolutely stupid for us. So we'll simulate to the trade deadline here. Expectations are pretty low for the team. Ideally, we suck, and then we get the first overall pick. However, I think we're too good to get the first overall pick, but you never know. So right now, things are going according to plan. The Washington Capitals aren't that great of a team, but we're not one of the best in the entire league. 18th here with a 30, 24, and 7 record. Honestly, I can live with this. And you know what else I can live with? Our leading scorer, Max Pacioretty, 37 goals, 33 helpers, 70 points. We're about to trade this man at 50% retained and get about 9 million assets for him. So shout out to Max Pacioretty for picking up all these points. Meanwhile, the goaltending situation here, Kemper, 26 wins, 3 shots, a 904 and a 312. Not good numbers by any means, but you know what? We'll take it. So let the massive Washington Capitals sale begin. It's going to be starting with Kuznetsov and Van Riemsdyk over to the Montreal Canadiens. We're going to be picking up Kirby Dach and Justin Barron, 2 incredibly young players. They're going to be sparking the rebuild here, so I'm sending that over. They're saying yes. We definitely could have got some more assets, but you know what? I'll take it. So I think I'm cooking up a pretty good deal that's going to work out for us long term. We're going to be sending Max Pacioretty at 50% retained and a 3rd rounder over to the Tampa Bay Lightning. We're bringing in Nick Paul. Now Nick Paul, he's an 83 overall on a pretty solid contract, and he can fit on the first line. I think he's going to be one of our first line players for the future. This is a pretty big risk seeing as he is only an 83 overall, but I see the vision with him. So let's get this deal done just like that. So this is by far the biggest risk we're taking. Wilson and a 2nd rounder over to the Columbus Blue Jackets for Patrick Laine. At 8.7 million, I'm not sure if he's worth it as an 86 overall, but if we can get this man scoring goals and put him alongside a good playmaker, then I think this contract's going to be worth it. I'm sending that over to Columbus. Surprisingly, that's actually not going to be enough, so we're going to have to throw a bit more into this deal. I'll give you a 4th rounder as well, and then that should be more than enough to get this deal done. So Wilson, a 2nd and a 4th for Patrick Laine, that's getting accepted just like that. So those are all the moves we're going to be doing for season number 1 here. Let's simulate to the end of the season and then maybe compete for a playoff spot. I highly doubt that's going to happen, but you never know. So after those trades, this is what our lines are looking like now. Nick Paul, Alexander Ovechkin, and Kirby Dach on the first line, with all these guys having a pretty solid line fit, and then Dylan Strome, Patrick Laine, and Simon Milano, they're going to be holding it down the second line. The bottom 6 we're just going to completely ignore because that definitely needs to get reworked, while the defense, it definitely needs some improvements. But hey, we got Justin Barron here. He's a nice upgrade to the team. He's going to be playing some 3rd pairing minutes. I can't complain about that. So we already know this is a 5-year rebuild, so let's just worry about 5 years down the line. So that's why we're giving Rasmus Sedin a 4-year deal at $4 million. A nice 4x4 here. That keeps him around for the rest of the rebuild. Another guy I'd like to keep around for the rest of the rebuild is going to be Justin Barron, and $1.6 million, an absolute steal for an 80 overall. So unfortunately, the Washington Capitals actually performed better than I thought they would in the final games of the season. We're definitely not making the playoffs, but we're 20th here with a 39-34-9 record, a decent offense, but a pretty poor defense. Unfortunately, we're not going to be getting the first overall pick, but you know what? I'm not afraid to trade our first round pick in order to get something to help the future real quick here. Because cut to the chase, Alexander Ovechkin, although he picked up 50 goals, 43 assists for 93 points here, 38 years old, he is not the same player he used to be. John Carlson, he's going to be declining pretty quick here. So Dylan Strome, Kirby Dach, Patrick Laine, and Nick Paul, y'all are the future of this team. And when I listed those players off, I am not confident in the future of this team. But Nick Paul, after we acquired you, you were a pretty solid player, 21 points in 21 games. I think you're going to turn out to be a good first line player for us. Meanwhile, the goaltending numbers, we're going to pretend they don't exist. Darcy Kemper, 33 wins, 3 shouts, and 901 to 324. I can't really expect results from you when you don't have a defense in front of you. So if you care about the postseason whatsoever, you're going to see the Edmonton Oilers win the Stanley Cup over the New York Rangers, and they're going to go 16-2 in the postseason. You heard that right, the Edmonton Oilers, 16-2 in the postseason. So they were pretty good. Now, obviously, with this team going 16-2, the big-time players made big-time plays. Draisaitl, 26 points here. Connor McDavid, 22. But I gotta know what the goaltending situation was like for this team. Stuart Skinner, 16 wins, a 915 to 275. I guess Edmonton was just scoring a lot of goals because these numbers aren't good. Then again, everyone else in the postseason had pretty bad numbers as well. But here we go. The most important thing, where the draft lottery results going to be looking like here. It looks like we're going to be securing the 13th overall. Not the greatest in the world, but you know what? It's going to have a lot of trade value, and we're going to be trading that away real quick. Alright, so I'm cooking up a deal here. John Carlson, he just had a career season, and you know what? We got to turn this team around quick. And I think this package is going to turn this team around fast. Josh Morrissey, Neil Pionk, Velarde from the Winnipeg Jets, and all we have to give up is John Carlson and a couple prospects. Carlson's coming off a career season. This deal is going to be easy to get done, so let's just get it done. I'm going to offer it over to the Winnipeg Jets. They're saying yes immediately. We just saw a couple massive upgrades to this team. So when it comes to the draft, you're going to see we only made 3 selections. With our other 3 draft picks, I packaged the 4th and a 5th up to the Columbus Blue Jackets for a future 2nd, and then I traded our 6th round pick for a future 6th. Basically, there was no good players in the draft, and I didn't want to waste our picks. So we've entered the re-sign phase, and now it's time to get some work done. It's going to be starting with Connor McMichael here. We'll do 3 years at $1.8 million. That's a pretty solid contract. Another contract we're going to be giving out here is going to be to Matt Phillips. We'll do 1.35 for the next 2 seasons. We'll give him a chance in the NHL, and we'll see what he can do. And then with our last sign during the re-sign phase, we'll do Kubel to a $1.4 million deal for the next 2 seasons. Those are going to be the only 3 players we're going to be signing here, and we're going to let the rest of the guys walk. So now that we've got through the re-sign phase, it's time to start giving out some big time extensions, and we're going to be starting with Neil Pionk here. We're going to be doing 4.4 for the next 5 years, an incredible deal for us. Our next extension is going to be going to Velarde, and we're going to be doing $4.1 million for the next 4 seasons. That's going to keep him around for the rest of the rebuild. So we have a lot of money to work with, so let's start giving out extensions here. And Sean Monahan, I feel like you'd be a nice piece to the team, so we're going to do 3.5 for the next 3 years. You can play some bottom 6 minutes for us, and you're an 84 overall. I think that's a great deal. Now, I feel like this is going to be a bit of a riskier deal, so I'm not going to do quite as much money here. Can we get Matthias Janmark for 1.85 for the next 3 seasons? If he joins the team, he'll be a great bottom 6 piece, but I feel like we didn't offer him enough. Meanwhile, William Carrier, 3 years at $2.3 million. I feel like that's more than fair. So over the offseason, we saw some massive improvement from a lot of players on this team. Ovi's up to an 93, Nick Paul's up to an 86, while Kirby Dach's also up to an 86. Laine's an 87, Dylan Strome's an 85, and so is Sonny Milano. The bottom 6 saw a massive upgrade here, as we're going to see Velarde, Sean Monahan, and Janmark holding it down here. This team's much improved from where they were last season, so I'm expecting some results. Defensively, we have a couple massive upgrades here. Josh Morrissey, a 90 overall, Pionk, an 85, Ethan Bear, Rasmus Sedin, Faravari, Barron. We have a solid core here, and they're all pretty young. I mean, I technically shouldn't say really young because Josh Morrissey is 29 and Pionk's 29, but you know what? They're not going to be declining anytime soon, so they should be here the rest of the rebuild. However, there is one thing that's probably going to be changing real quick, and that's going to be the goaltending here. Darcy Kemper, I don't think you're going to be able to be the guy for us. We'll hold on to you for this season, but in the next season, we're probably going to be changing it up. But we might keep St. Louis legend Charlie Lindgren around, because remember that one season he played for St. Louis? Incredible. 5 wins, a 957 and a 122. We probably should have kept this man around. He was built different. In all seriousness though, I know why we didn't re-sign him, because we had Joel Hofer in the system, and now he's the backup goaltender, so it would have been him and Charlie Lindgren battling for the backup role. We gotta get Joel Hofer as many reps as possible. So I feel like the Washington Capitals are either gonna be a top 5 team or a bottom 5 team this season, and no in between. We're either gonna be one of the best or one of the worst, and I'm hoping we're one of the best. Now, at the beginning of the year, I said we were either going to be a top 5 team or a bottom 5 team and no in between. Well, we're definitely a top 5, third in the entire league here with a 39-18-5 record. The offense is absolutely flying, while the defense, one of the best in the entire league. Never would have guessed that. And if the offense is flying, you already know this man's flying. Alexander Ovechkin, 36 goals, 30 helpers, 66 points. Dylan Strome, he's got 63, while Josh Morrissey, he's got 56. And the goaltending here, we actually might be holding on to Darcy Kemper because he's looking great. 29 wins, 0 shots, a 915, a 277. You never know. We might be getting a Stanley Cup quicker than I thought. Okay, so I've been yapping this entire time and I just realized the recording was paused. So we just made a massive trade here and I've been yapping for about 3 minutes straight. We traded next season's first, second, and third rounder along with Ryder Ritchie. So we just got a good player, and that player, Shea Theodore. He's going to be playing on the first line alongside Josh Morrissey. Yeah, we're making moves out here. Y'all don't understand how upset I am that I just realized the recording was paused. Like, I was really cooking there. I wasn't cooking in the slightest. We gave up way more than we should have. Before we wrap up at the trade deadline here, Calle Jarkko is getting paid $2 million. He's also an 86 overall. I don't know what happened, but bro's up to an 86 overall, so we're going to try to get him for 2 second-round picks. It's going to cost a bit more than that, but I'm perfectly fine with giving up a bit more. We might even give up a prospect in this deal. Who do you really want? I'll give up Andrew Crystal. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with doing that. So Andrew Crystal and 2 second-rounders for Calle Jarkko. Why not make this deal? Hold on. Let's not do 2 second-rounders. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. A second Crystal and a 5th for Calle Jarkko. There we go. I was really about to give up a second rounder as well. Also, I just realized we traded with the Vegas Golden Knights again. So shout out to Vegas. So Shea Theodore wants 6 years at $11.7 million. How about we do 4 years at $10 million? Take it and leave it. So after making those trades, Calle Jarkko is going to be playing some third line minutes for us at an 86 overall. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a great line fit here, but you know what? I don't think it's going to matter too much. Bro's an 86 overall. Meanwhile, when it comes to the defense, Josh Morrissey and Shea Theodore, they're now defensive partners. So I think we're okay in that department. And guys, we got some great news. Shea Theodore is going to be around for the rest of the rebuild. Now this is a very disappointing way to end the season. We did not look good after the trade deadline. We're finishing 6th here with a 49-26-7 record. The offense was great, but the defense, it definitely fell off. 2.91 goals allowed per game. Definitely not what it used to be. I don't know how Shea Theodore made us worse, but he somehow did. However, there's one guy that we can't blame whatsoever, Alexander Ovechkin. 94 points here, 55 goals, 39 assists. Josh Morrissey's got 74 points. Dylan Strome, 73. The offense was certainly flying. The defense just wasn't there though. But we did have decent enough goaltending numbers. I mean, Darcy Kemper, 36 wins, 1 shutout, a 911 and a 289. Definitely better than what they were last season. And they were actually better by quite a bit. Last season you had a 901 and a 324. So that's some nice improvement. And it only makes sense for our first postseason matchup to be against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Sidney Crosby versus Alexander Ovechkin one more time before both of these guys retire. I mean, ideally, Ovi continues to play for the team and doesn't retire, but you never know what's going to happen. This is going to be one for the history books. So after taking massive wins in Game 1 and Game number 2, we're dropping 3 and 4, so this series is all tied up, and Game 5 is going to be a massive one. Who's taking the lead in the series? It looks like it's going to be the Washington Capitals, and they're looking to close out here in Game number 6. An 8-2 victory for the boys. You'll love to see it. But now we have our toughest task by far, the New York Rangers. I believe this team finished first in the entire league, and now we got to take them on in the second round. But if we can get past them, then we have a very good shot at a Stanley Cup. Alright, so the Rangers are smoking us, but we won Game 4, so we're going to avoid the sweep here. Maybe we can survive in Game 5, and never mind. New York smoked us. Plain and simple. They kicked the crap out of us in every single game except for Game number 4. Other than that, we could not compete with those boys. Then again, every single game was close. 4-3, 4-3, 4-3, 3-1, 3-1. You know what? It looks like the better team just came out on top. Ain't no way John Carlson just won a Stanley Cup with the Winnipeg Jets. I took away Pionk, Josh Morrissey, and Velarde. And y'all somehow got better. That doesn't sit right with me. Now, of course, I'm interested in my own team's stats. I mean, Ovi, 13 points here. Calle Jarkko, 12. What a great pickup he was. No, but real talk, I gotta look at the Winnipeg Jets. What did John Carlson do? Bro had 22 points in 24 games. What did he do during the regular season? 86 points. Okay, so maybe we should have held on to you, but it was actually smart that we traded you considering all the guys we got. I think this trade worked out good for both sides. I also want to point out the prospect that we sent over to them had 12 points in the playoffs. So yeah, I don't think there's a true loser in this deal. I think we both came out as winners. So right off the bat in the draft, we're going to be securing a great prospect with our first round pick here, as we're going to be securing a centerman with low elite potential. Now our first round prospect's not going to be the only one with low elite potential, because we're going to be securing another one here with the 56th overall. So I don't think we're going to really be handing out any extensions during the re-sign phase, except to these young players right here. We'll bring them in just to play in the AHL. And when it comes to goaltending, we're also going to let Charlie Lindgren walk here. He wants like $1.5 million, and I'm not really willing to do that. Actually, yes I am, and it's not quite 1.5, it's 1.27. I can do that for one season. That's not the end of the world. So here's where things are going to get incredibly difficult for us. We have to re-sign quite a few important pieces. Ovi, Laine, Kirby Dach, Sonny Milano, Cal Yarkro, all these guys need to come back. Now, how are we going to be able to afford all these guys right here? I haven't figured that out yet. And obviously, we're going to need to start with Alexander Ovechkin. And I can do $7.7 million for the next 2 seasons. That's cheaper than what he's getting paid right now, so we're going to save a bit of money there. We're also going to be saving a lot of money with Patrik Laine, $6 million per year for the next 4 years. We're saving a lot of money here. Between these two guys right here, that's about $4 million saved. No, seriously, how are we getting such good contracts? Kirby Dach, 4.8 for the next 3. And then we'll finish up with Ferravari, who's going to be getting 4.1 for the next 3 years. This is probably going to be the biggest salary jump. He's going from 2.6 to 4.1, but it doesn't really matter because we're saving a lot of money here. Ovi's taking less, Laine's taking less, and Kirby Dach, he's not really taking too much more. So I have to explain the thought process here. Cal Yarkro, a 3rd and 4th round, is going to be sent over to the Pittsburgh Penguins for Ryan Graves. You might be wondering, why did I just trade for Ryan Graves? Well, the plan originally was to get Slafkovsky from the Montreal Canadiens, and since Cal Yarkro didn't fit the trade block, I traded for Ryan Graves, who did. Unfortunately, we're never able to trade for Slafkovsky here, but I did have a backup plan, and that backup plan was Jared McCann. But unfortunately, we also couldn't get Jared McCann, so we had to go to a 3rd option. Okay, so we just made a deal with the Chicago Blackhawks, and this is the 2nd time in the video where I've had the recording paused when I made a trade. I haven't had this issue for like 3 months, but for some reason I've had it twice in the same video. We traded Ryan Graves and a 2nd round pick over to the Chicago Blackhawks, and we picked up Lukas Reichel. Now there's 2 really good things about Lukas Reichel. One, he can play on the bottom 6 here, but he's also an 86 overall, getting paid $2.1 million. So yeah, this is going to be a good deal. Okay, so right now Logan Thompson's available in free agency, and we can do a 3-year deal with him at $2.5 million. I'll do 2.75. We'll offer this contract over to him. If he accepts it, then we're immediately going to be trading Darcy Kemper. Because at that point, why keep Darcy Kemper around when we have his replacement for about $4 million less? So Logan Thompson's going to be accepting the deal I just offered him, so now we might as well trade Darcy Kemper away and clean up $5 million. I feel like that was a very smart signing for us. Now we just got to get rid of Kemper. So here's what the trade's going to be. I'm just using Trade Finder to keep it simple. Darcy Kemper over to the Vegas Golden Knights, and we're getting a 3rd and 4th rounder. Now it's time to flip those draft picks. So I never thought we would go from Slafkovsky to Jared McCann to Michael Bunting of all players on the Carolina Hurricanes. He's an 86 overall, 29 years old, so he's still sort of young. He can fit on every single forward line, and that's what we need him for. So Milano, a 3rd and 4th rounder. That should be enough to get Michael Bunting. I'm going to offer that over. They're saying yes immediately. We have a replacement for the 2nd line. And the only reason I traded Sonny Milano, 1, I didn't want to give him an extension, but 2, we really don't need 2 snipers on the 2nd line. We don't need him and Patrik Laine. So after picking up Michael Bunting, we're going to need to give him an extension here, so we'll do $5.2 million for the next 6 seasons. Now keep him around for the rest of the rebuild. Hopefully he can play on that 2nd line. I'm like 99% sure he can, but even if he can't, he'll fit somewhere else on the team. Okay, Sam Bennett wants $2.9 million right now. I'll do 3.3 for the next 3 seasons. If he accepts this deal, fantastic. If he doesn't, it's not the end of the world, but I gotta take a chance on a contract like this. So this entire time, I've been looking for a 2-way forward that fits on the 2nd line for us. Little did I know, Sean Monahan has a near perfect fit here. So he's gonna be playing on the 2nd line with Dylan Strome and Patrik Laine, while Michael Bunting, Velarde, and Lukas Reichel are gonna be holding it down that 3rd line. Ovi's dropped to a 93 overall, but I mean, he's 39 years old. We all saw that one coming. Defensively, this team looks incredible. Josh Morrissey, Shea Theodore, they're going to be leading the way. Pyong, Rasmus Sedin, they're going to be that 2nd pairing, while Ferravari and Jensen, they're going to be holding it down that 3rd line. When it comes to the goaltending situation, we got Logan Thompson for the rest of this rebuild. He's an 85 overall that we're paying real cheap money to right now, $2.75 million for the next 3 seasons. While Charlie Lindgren, I just need you to be a solid backup for 1 season. I wish I was kidding when I said I spent the last 20 minutes trying to find somebody that can play on our 2nd line. Little did I know Sean Monahan could literally do that. I wasted a lot of time looking for a replacement. Probably wouldn't have made some of the moves I did, but you know what? You live and you learn, and we just won 5-0 in our first preseason game, so I guess that's a W. We also went perfect during the preseason. We're about to go perfect if we win this last one, which we did, of course. So the Washington Capitals are looking like absolute beasts right now. We're first in the entire league with a 43-15-5 record. Not only is the offense flying, but the defense is very mid. I was about to say the defense is good. Our defense is not good. 3.22 allowed, that's one of the worst in the entire league. It's probably like 10th worst or something. Maybe it's actually not as bad as I think. But hey, it's not the greatest, but we are scoring a lot of goals, and that's how I built this team. So it doesn't really matter how old Alexander Ovechkin gets. He's got 45 goals. Patrick Laine, he's got 43. We're at the 63 game mark though. Both of these guys are on pace for over 50 goals. And then Nick Paul, he's got 54 points. Pion's got 54. This team's looking really solid right now. Also, shout out to Lucas Reichel. He almost has 50 points here, and he's playing third line minutes. So yeah, it's safe to say our team's pretty good. Meanwhile, Logan Thompson, what are your numbers looking like? Probably not the best, seen as we're giving up a lot of goals, but you have a 32-11-3 record with 2 shouts, an 897 and a 309. You know what? I'll take it. So I know that we just signed Sam Bennett in free agency, but JT Compher is available here. 5.1 million is pretty expensive for a bottom 6 guy, but he fits on the bottom 6 lines. So we're going to pick him up here. Sam Bennett and 2 4th rounders. I think that's going to be enough. They're going to be saying no, but you know what? I can give you a couple more draft picks. Here's a 5th and 6th rounder. Basically, we're going to have no draft picks for the next couple of years, but I'm perfectly fine with that because we're competing for Stanley Cups. Also, Noah Cates just got put on waivers and he's an 80 overall and he's only 27 years old. I'm going to claim him because I'm assuming he has a bit of trade value, but you never know. He might be able to play on the 4th line. So here's what the lines are going to be looking like. It's going to be JT Compher manning that 3rd line with Lucas Reichel and Velarde, and then Bunting, Noah Cates, and William Carrier, they're going to be the 4th line. We're getting a +1 boost here, a +2 boost on the 2nd and 3rd line, and then a +3 overall boost on the 1st line. So the Washington Capitals are going to finish as one of the best teams in the entire league here with a 55-20-7 record. But the Tampa Bay Lightning, they were just a bit better, picking up 58 wins this season. We're going to have to look out for this team. I will say, I think we're relying on Ovi a bit too much here. 101 points, 55 goals, 46 helpers. This man's carrying the way at 40 years old. Eventually, we got to start giving him a bit of help. But then again, Patrick Laine did pick up 60 goals this season, so I guess he is getting a bit of support. Meanwhile, Logan Thompson, 42 wins, 3 shutouts, an 897 and a 306 aren't necessarily the greatest numbers in the world, but we did just finish 2nd, so you know what? I'm not going to complain about them. As long as our offense can hold up in the playoffs here, then we're going to be fine. And speaking of the playoffs, it's time to get to work here as we have the Carolina Hurricanes in the 1st round. I'm looking towards that conference finals matchup between the Washington Capitals and Tampa Bay Lightning. That's going to be a tough one for sure. But first, we got to get there. I can't overlook the Canes. So right now, the Canes are handing it to us. We're down 3-1 in this series, and unless we can start picking up 7 goals a game, I don't think we're going to be coming back into this one. We did score 5 in game number 5, so maybe we can score 6 in game number 6. Nope, we're actually going to be allowing 6. So I think it's pretty clear what our issue is. We got to tighten up the defense on this team. So with the postseason wrapping up, I guess the Carolina Hurricanes were a much better team than I thought. They took the Stanley Cup champions to 7 games. So yeah, maybe us losing to a wildcard team isn't necessarily the end of the world, especially if they're going on a deep run like this. So obviously, we need to make a couple of changes to the team because we clearly weren't good enough here. And I think it comes down to defense and goaltending. Like Logan Thompson, bro, you had an 853 and a 476. I can't even defend that. That's awful. Meanwhile, Charlie Lindgren, he might have only played 33 minutes, but he had a 952 and a 177, so I do want to point that out. Nah, but seriously, Logan Thompson, what's this, man? We can't have that happening. So not only was it a pretty pathetic draft because we only had 2 selections, but our best player, 7th D potential. Yeah, you can't bounce back from that. So when it comes to giving out extensions here, I'll give an extension to every single player that wants a 2-way contract. So basically our top guys here, they're not going to be coming back. And when it comes to goaltenders, we're also going to be walking away from Charlie Lindgren. Unless he's going to be pretty reasonable here, this is more than reasonable. I'll actually give you 900K just because I'm that type of guy. Charlie Lindgren, welcome back to the team. Okay, never mind, Charlie Lindgren is not coming back, and Matthew Phillips is also not coming back. I gave bro exactly what he wanted, and he still said no. So to heck with them. So we've got through the re-sign phase, and now it's time to go with some big extensions. And we're going to be starting with Lucas Reichel here. He's going to want 6.6 million. I'm not willing to do that, but I think we can find a compromise. So how about instead of 6.6 million, we do 5.8 million. We get to save a bit of money, but you get to stay on the team. I think that's a fair deal. And then the next extension we're giving out here is going to be to Noah Cates. I'll do 2.1 million for next season. We'll bring him back for 1 more year. He's a good piece on the 4th line, so I think we should keep him around. And I was really considering trading Sean Monahan, but you know what? I think I changed my mind. will do 3.1 for the next 3 seasons. He's up to an 85 overall, so he can definitely play some big top 6 minutes for us. So we have a bit of money to work with, and I think the bottom 6 could use a bit more help. So here's Anders Lee, an 85 overall, 4 million for 1 season. There's a chance he fits on the 4th line. That's probably where we're going to be playing him. If it doesn't work out, that's perfectly fine because we basically have the entire team coming back. And we do need a backup goaltender here in Vejmelka. I'm perfectly willing to give you 1.9 for the next 2 seasons. You're an absolute beast, an 84 overall. That's a pretty good deal for us. Okay, so our forward core is by far the best in the entire league here. You can make the argument that our bottom 6 is better than a lot of teams' top 6. Like Lucas Reichel, 87, Velarde, 84, and Sean Monahan, 85. That's incredible for our 3rd line. And the other 2 lines, absolutely spectacular. Well, I said other 2 lines. We can't forget about the 4th line. 85 Bunting, 83 Anders Lee, and then 82 William Carrier. Nah, this team's elite. And if you thought our forward core was good, look at the defense. Josh Morrissey, Shea Theodore, Neil Pionk, Rasmus Sedin, Farivari, and Barron. Nah, that's pretty solid as well. And to cap it all off, we have a great goaltending tandem here, an 85 overall Logan Thompson, 84 overall Vejmelka. Obviously, Logan Thompson's going to be our starter, but if he falters in any way, we have a solid backup we can put in between the pipes. So enough yapping, let's go win 60 games. That should be the minimum for this team. So even though the Washington Capitals look absolutely unstoppable, we're still not first in the entire league. Second with a 42-17-3 record, averaging 4.11 goals per game and only allowing 2.65. But the Tampa Bay Lightning are somehow ahead of us. I have no clue how. 46-14-2. How is there a team better than us? Like, respectfully. We're 42-17-3 and we're still not the best in the entire league. And although Alexander Ovechkin's 41 years old and has dropped to an 87 overall, bro just picked up 45 goals and 47 helpers for 92 points. At the trade deadline, we're 62 games into the season and he has 92 points. Whatever you do, do not retire next season. I need 1 more year out of Alexander Ovechkin. And then the goaltending numbers, I'm assuming they're spectacular. Logan Thompson, 32 wins, 5 shutouts, a 908 and a 257. We have this season and next season to win a Stanley Cup with Washington. We're definitely going to be competitive. We just need to hold it down in the playoffs. Now, I'm going through the players available here, and I actually don't think there's anyone we could add to our team that's going to have a good fit on either the 4th line or 3rd defensive pairing, because that's all we really need to upgrade. The rest of the team looks absolutely fantastic, so I think we're going to roll with the team we have right now. I can't believe we were just a 57-win team, averaging 4 goals per game and only allowing 2.62, only to finish 2nd in the entire league because the Tampa Bay Lightning won 60 games. How is this team still competitive in the year 2027? It doesn't even make sense to me. Ovi continues to turn back the clock. He's got 56 goals and 55 helpers for 111 points. That might be leading the entire league. Patrick Laine, 90 points, but I'm actually curious on whether Ovi led the entire league or not. But first, Logan Thompson, 47 wins, 6 shots, and 913 and 250. Pretty incredible numbers from you. Now, Alexander Ovechkin, did you lead the entire league? You did. And I think you also led the entire league in goals. Never mind, Austin Matthews had 64, but you had 111 points. So that's pretty impressive for a 41-year-old. Now, before we even get into the playoffs here, I need to look at the Tampa Bay Lightning roster. How are y'all still competitive? Steven Stamkos, Brain Point, Kucherov, Hagel, Sorelli, then you got Nyquist. I kind of understand this based on these 5 guys right here. What does the defense look like? Victor Hedman, Sergachev, Chernak, and then the goaltending, I'm assuming it's still Vasilevsky. Okay, I understand why you guys are a 60-win team. I take it back. Then again, no, I don't, because look at your bottom 6. It's not necessarily that good. So if we're going to match up against Tampa in the postseason, it's going to be in the conference finals, but first we have to get there. We're taking on a 39-win Detroit Red Wings team. So you already know where I'm going with this. We're getting swept in the first round. It would only be fitting. So let's just get this over with quick. I'm going to simulate the first 4 games and watch this team get swept. We're really down 2-0 in the series right now. Ain't no way we drop the first 2 games. Luckily, we're responding, winning the next 2, so game 5 is going to be a big one. We're going to be taking that one, so I'm guessing we're going to be closing this one out in game 6. Never mind, we're off to game 7. Great work, team. Alexander Ovechkin just had an historic season for a 41-year-old, and y'all are about to lose in the first round. Thankfully, Patrick Laine is going to be picking up the OT winner here. He's going to be saving the day for this team, but there is no reason this series should have been as competitive as it was. But I guess we're not the only team struggling in the first round here, because the Tampa Bay Lightning also got taken to 7 games. They were able to make it to the second round, the same as us, but now we got to get through the New York Rangers while Tampa has to get through Ottawa. So this team's gone through its hardship in the first round, having the Detroit Red Wings take us to 7 games. Let's get on a roll here and dominate the series, and currently things are looking pretty good. We have a 3-1 series lead, and we're going to be closing this one out in game 5 in a 6-2 win. So here we go in the biggest matchup of the video by far, the Washington Capitals, the team that just won 57 games, taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning, who just won 60. This could really go either way. But right now, with the way the team's rolling, I'm not sure if Tampa's going to be able to stop us. I mean, I take that back. Tampa won 60 games. This is going either way. So I need an elite OV performance right here. I need him to turn back the clock and absolutely dominate. We have a 3-1 series lead and we're about to close this out in 5 games. We really just beat Tampa in 5 games. Ovi must have turned back the clock. He was probably picking up 2 goals a game or something. So we've made it all the way to the Stanley Cup final, taking down the best team in the league, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and now we have the Vancouver Canucks to take on. But was Tampa really the best team in the entire league? Because we beat them. That makes us the best team in the entire league. We're taking on the Vancouver Canucks. I'm not scared of Vancouver at all. It's time for Washington to hoist another Stanley Cup with Alexander Ovechkin. So here we go, the Stanley Cup final. Let's simulate through the first 4 games and watch the Washington Capitals sweep the Vancouver Canucks, because that's exactly what's going to happen. Back-to-back shutouts from Logan Thompson. We only allowed 5 goals in this entire series. Nobody could stop Washington. They were just built different. But the real question is, who's the Conn Smythe winner here? I mean, Patrick Laine, incredible numbers, 29 points. Dylan Strome, 25. Alexander Ovechkin, 12 goals, 12 assists for 24 points at age 41. I think you got to give the Conn Smythe to him. Unless Logan Thompson put up some ridiculous numbers, I mean, 15 wins, 2 shouts, a 923 and a 245. You got to give respect where respect is due. I don't think we would have been able to do this with Darcy Kemper. So Logan Thompson, thanks for holding it down. And since we won a Stanley Cup in year number 4, we don't really need a year number 5. So in saying that, the Washington Capitals rebuild's complete, and we got Ovi one more Stanley Cup before he calls it a career.